Hey peeps, Tyler here with my weekly wrap-up. I actually read all 6 of the audiobooks that I borrowed on Audible Plus a while ago that are going off Audible Plus later this month, going off soon. I actually read all of them already. So I read like 5 audiobooks in the past week. Or possibly like 6, depending on when I read Super Mario last week, but yeah, I finished Tides, The Science and Spirit of the Ocean by Jonathan White, which of course talks a lot about the ocean. I gave it 4 stars. I love the ocean and nature and the moon, and of course the moon controls the tides, so that was talked about. So yeah, I have a lot of trouble with listening to audiobooks because of ADHD. So I can't remember some things, but I really liked that one. Also read The Pluto Files, The Rise and Fall of America's Favorite Planet by Neil deGrasse Tyson. That was interesting. I gave it 3 stars. I don't quite remember why, but I liked it well enough. Pluto's interesting because I don't have it anymore because of a house fire, but my senior yearbook from high school, 2006 to 2007. I graduated in 2007. I did not need science class for my last year of school, so I didn't have any. I needed 3 years in high school, 9th, 10th, and 11th grade. That's it. I didn't need any for 12th. So, kindergarten to 12th grade, actually I don't think they teach you the planets in kindergarten, but kindergarten to 12th grade, or to 11th grade, 9 planets. Pluto being the 9th one. As soon as I get done learning for 12 freaking years that Pluto is a planet, as soon as I get done, and I'll get to the yearbook in a second, they declare Pluto's no longer a planet. Yeah, we just told you this for 12 years and now you're done with science, and turns out we lied to you, is how it basically felt at the time. Because in my senior yearbook, it literally stated, it had in every yearbook in my high school, it had what happened our senior year for the seniors. There was several things. I don't actually remember what they are now, because again, house fire. But one of those things that I could never forget was Pluto is no longer considered a planet. In my senior yearbook, that was written. From the, printed. And something about Britney Spears. But yeah, those are the only 2 I remember, and I don't remember exactly what about Britney Spears. But, there's other stuff that happened as well that I can't remember anymore. So that was, are you serious? You told me this for 12 years. You say you're done science, you're good now. Oh no, look, we lied to you about Pluto for 12 years. Have fun! That was just so weird back then. And all I heard was it's a dwarf planet, and I'm like, well, my brain is well, dwarf people are people, so wouldn't a dwarf planet still be a freaking planet? But again, I'm not a scientist. Neil deGrasse Tyson is in the... I don't remember shit because it was an audiobook. But yeah. I did give it 3 stars, so I liked the audiobook. But, so basically my millennial ass for many years has been, Pluto was always a planet in my heart. You cannot make Pluto not a planet in my heart. But that's just been so weird. So now I know I learned more that I can't remember off the top of my head about Pluto and what happened with that, and some asteroid belt that Pluto's in that I had no idea about. Kepler? I don't know if that's the right word. But a whole bunch of things, and Pluto's the largest in the thing. So yeah, obviously I did learn some stuff about Pluto I didn't know before. I listened to all of these, but On Color by David Scott Kastan literally talks about color. Our lives are saturated by color. We live in a world of vivid colors, and color marks our psychological and social existence. But for all color's inescapability, we don't know much about it. Now authors David and Stephen offer a fresh and imaginative exploration of one of the most intriguing and least understood aspects of everyday experience. They, a scholar and a painter, respectively investigate color from numerous perspectives: literary, historical, cultural, anthropological, philosophical, art historical, political, and scientific, in 10 lively and wide-ranging chapters, each devoted to a different color. They examine the various ways colors have shaped and continue to shape our social and moral imaginations. Each individual color becomes the focal point for a consideration of one of the extraordinary ways in which color appears and matters in our lives. It says beautifully produced in color, but of course I listened to an audiobook. So that, and as it says, this is a remarkably smart, entertaining, and fascinating guide to this elusive topic, and it was. I gave it 4 stars. I find it pretty interesting because there's so much to all the different colors. Good and bad associations to literally everything. And so many associations and a lot of history involving the colors. So yeah, that was very fascinating. And you had like the colors of the rainbow, and then white, gray, and black, and yeah. And I listened to The Kissing Bug, A True Story of Her Family, an Insect and the Nation's Neglect of a Deadly Disease. This is a memoir. The Kissing Bug is a bug. Here's my issue with memoirs. I love memoirs, usually. But, turns out because a memoir is very personal, and I listen to a lot of either way, but I also listen to a lot of them because memoirs actually work great on the audiobooks for me, usually. As audiobooks, like specifically memoirs. But it turns out, regardless of how I read it, if I end up not liking the author, I'm not gonna like the memoir. So anyway, The Kissing Bug is about like the Chagas disease. It's an insect that is mostly in Central and South America, as well as the border states. They were in New Jersey, which is also where I live. And I looked it up, there's like a few different types of the bug, and only one is in New Jersey. And they were from like other places like Central and South America where they typically are. Like, I didn't count how many types of bugs there were. So basically, they're very rare in the United States. Not that they don't exist, but they mostly exist in the border states like Texas, New Mexico, not up here in New Jersey. And they're mostly in Central and South America. They're very rare, but they do exist, of course. And it was also laced with a lot of talking about her being bisexual, and I thought I was a bisexual woman for like 2 decades. Turns out I'm a trans man. So like, you'd think I'd like that part too, but she was talking a lot about being bisexual and her aunt not accepting her and basically whining about that, somehow intermixed with the bugs, which made absolutely no sense. It was like disconnected, it felt like, and very whiny. And it's like, okay, you're just going on and on and on. It's like, just get over it. She's not. It's like, for that matter, it wasn't even the worst situation ever. It was like, it wasn't really that bad considering things and how much worse things could have been. It's like, just move on. What does this have to do with the kissing bug? Absolutely nothing. The title feels like a humongous lie. And it's like, I know shit, but because of my medical issues, where I was born with Factual Association, that's not even as rare that doctors have never fucking heard about a lot of the times. And it's like, this is rare in the United States, especially in New Jersey. And so of course the doctors aren't going to necessarily know about it, especially because it's not the only parasite bug. There's literally hundreds. And it's just, it felt extremely whiny, and like the title was a huge lie, and it was just hard to describe and felt extremely bitter. It's like I gave it 2 stars, because I mean, I learned some stuff from it. I did not know about the chaga bug, so I did learn from it. I feel sorry for what she went through. but I guess the tone of the book is what bugged me, if that makes sense. I don't know. I gave it 2 stars. Like, it wasn't the worst, but I did not enjoy it. Then I read The Republican Brain, The Science of Why They Deny Science and Reality by Chris C. Mooney, which that title actually made me worried. But I borrowed this from Audible Plus who knows how long ago. It's going off Audible Plus on the 30th, so I finally read it. Initially, I looked at the title and went, oh no, this isn't going to be nuanced at all. I am a Democrat, but I'm well aware both sides have our issues. Well, my impression from the title was wrong, and I was very impressed. Yes, both sides have our flaws and our strengths. It's so much more nuanced, and truly, we need each other, as it says in the conclusion. Seriously, I want everyone to read this. I got called out by it too, by the way. I love books like this, that are nuanced and make me think, and even realize how I was wrong on some things that this book did. I also saw Goodreads said published in 2007, and when it mentioned something that happened in 2008, I looked and saw it was updated in 2012, and then continued mentioning some things in like 2009 and 10 and 11. So while a lot has happened since 2012, it's more relevant and will only continue getting more so if we keep getting more and more divided, more and more hateful of each other. This book is very balanced. The author even fully admits when he was wrong, doing like studies, scientific studies, realized he was wrong and admitted it. It was so nuanced, and I freaking loved it. I gave it 5 stars. And where I struggle with audiobooks, this is one of those audiobooks that if I fucking miss something, my ass is going back. Because when it comes to audiobooks and my struggles with it, if, like, I can tell how much, if I do or do not want to go back, how much I'm enjoying the audiobook. Or the book in general. Some books I'm like, I missed something, oh fucking well. I fell asleep for a chapter or 2, who cares? Other books, like this one, is like, no, if I miss something, my ass is going back and fucking until I get everything. This was one of those books. I wish I had it physically. So I could have, like, highlighted shit and taken notes. So, like, it was very nuanced and I was very impressed. So, yes. So that is what I read in this past week. Some other stuff I got. There's other 2 books in that Your Soul's Plan trilogy thing. Your Soul's Love, Living the Love You Planned Before You Were Born, and Your Soul's Gift, which I said backwards, but The Healing Power of the Life You Planned Before You Were Born. And I've read the first 10 volumes, so I'm not actually caught up. But I got volume 17 of Monster Musume, because it was like, for some reason, volume 16 was like 3 years ago or something. Apparently it's off hiatus or whatever happened now. So now I guess I can catch up. So that is what I got this past week, physically anyway. I did only write 150 words in my fantasy novel, Project Mabon. However, I literally listened to a lot of audiobooks, which I struggle with because of ADHD. And my dog is declining, so I've been down and worried. It looks like it's probably time to put him down. I have to call the vet tomorrow, or today by the time you see this, but I'm filming it Sunday. So I have to call the vet tomorrow, and yeah, his hind legs has been going, that's been going for a while. It's only getting worse. He's having trouble getting up. He's gagging, and initially the vet said it was allergies. I really don't think it is. He's like having a harder time like breathing heavy and like getting back to like when he calms down. It takes a while, and he can't hardly see. He hasn't lost complete vision. We did figure that out. He can't see in front of his face. The seizure he had months ago, he has not had another one, but one of his eyes is still sunken in. Even though his eyes look better, one is still sunken in. However, that actually seems to be the eye he can see better out of, because the other one that's not sunken in looks like it has a cataract. which is actually looks like it's looked like that for as long as I can fucking remember. But him having trouble seeing, obviously, like where it's obvious, is new. And we realized though, like my mom did with the hand, he can see on the sides. Like if I don't know exactly what he's seeing because we can't ask him because he's a dog, but he'll turn your head or his head when he sees like your hand on the side, but in front of him there's nothing. He appears to like he can still smell and hear just fine, but he cannot see in front of his face. Which has been confusing me because I'm like, well, he's not bumping into stuff, and I've had a kitten who was also a failure to thrive. It's only lasted a few months, and it had nothing to do with the fact that one eye was completely blind. But because the kitten had one completely blind eye, they had no depth perception. So he'd be like falling off of stuff and into shit, and so I know like he wasn't bumping into shit. So I'm like, well, he has to have some vision. He's not bumping into anything. He has to have depth perception. And then when we did that, I'm like, okay, he can see out of the sides. He doesn't appear to be able to see out of the front of his face. He has a lot less energy. He's more tired. He doesn't really seem as interested at all in food like he used to. We're now having to like hand feed him like with a bowl of water or food in front of him, and he will eat and drink then. But that's like it. We're literally having to hand feed him, even though he knows like where his food and water are and everything. He's just not really interested. And there's just so much. He's struggling. Old age has now disabled him, and if it's not time to say goodbye, it's very close at this point because he's been declining pretty fast. That false alarm a few months ago wasn't quite so false. Even though he hasn't had any more seizures, it wasn't quite so false. All we managed was to get a little more time with him. So, yeah. So, based on struggling with those 5 frickin' audiobooks all week, and my dog declining in his health, and I realized I was being dumb when I initially thought, I've only written 150 words that week, this is pathetic. But then I quickly realized, wait a second, what if somebody else, like a friend, had the week I've had? Like, struggling with audiobooks to get them done in time because of ADHD while their dog's declining and on his last leg, and what would I say to a friend in that situation? I'd want to slap some sense into them. Because I'm like, dude, you're doing great. Give yourself a freaking break. So, I only wrote 150 words this past week, but oh freaking well. I'm still really enjoying the story. I'm gonna finish it, it's just taking a while. But also it's my first novel-length novel. That made no sense. It's my first novel. So, yes. But hopefully I'll get more words this week. We'll see. If I don't, you understand. But I will continue. I'm at 57.7k at the moment. And in chapter 27, which I should be almost done. I just have to figure out exactly how to end the chapter. But, exactly how I need to get out of this room. But, yeah. So instead of writing on Saturday, because my brain could not be fucked writing more than 150 words on Project Mabon, I started a Substack. I'm blogging again. I honestly like Substack better than WordPress, and I'm just better at writing than I am speaking. So, I started a Substack. I'll link it in the description. It's also in my link tree, which is always in the description. I have 2 posts up so far. A taste of what you can expect on this blog about me as a reader, writer, and human is the first one. And then writing my first novel, a YA fantasy, and sad pet news is the second one. So that's talking about Project Mabon and whatnot. So, yeah. So I'm going to be blogging on Substack. And that is it for this week. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.